Good evening, everybody. It's Steve with Real Progressives, and I was going to make a more elaborate breakdown of the debates last night, but Jackie Luqman, wonderful, wonderful contributor from Real Progressives, one of our best and brightest, did an excellent job of breaking down the debates today, and I think that if you haven't had an opportunity to see that or Blair Erickson's interview with Tim Canova, you're really missing out. One of the things that I wanted to talk about was the gloriousness of the idiocy that was found on the debate stage regarding economics. Now, for those of you who have followed me for even 10 minutes, much less the whole year, you know that every time I heard her talk about how the Bush tax cuts wrecked the economy, I almost cried. Because, see, the thing is that as someone who really cannot stand the Republicans, it breaks my heart when I actually have to defend the freaks. But she sat there and she leveled an attack. And it's the kind of attack that destroys progress, ironically. What she did was she continued to perpetuate the myth that taxes fund spending. And the reality is what happens is taxes extract money out of the economy, not because they're giving away to Latifah and Joey and Billy and, Joseph. What it is those tax dollars are deleted and purged from the economy. They don't go and spend, they don't spend them on anybody else. They don't get recycled, they don't get repurposed. They get deleted. So how in the world did Bush's tax cuts, which mean it kept more money in the private sector, how did Bush tax cuts crash the economy? Seriously. And the man's a bumbling idiot, a warmonger, and just everything you can name under the sun. But one thing he's not guilty of, he's definitely not guilty of crashing the economy by tax cuts. Once you start realizing how these people are lying to you on both sides, but in particular, the Democrats who claim to represent us and want to provide us with a government that provides for its people, when you know that the game they're playing is such a lie, it's not even like a mild lie. She knows better. And yet, she would sit there and tell you people who are not into economics, who don't understand federal financing, she would tell you guys that the tax cuts destroyed the economy to make sure that the other guy is the one to blame. The reality is, and we've posted this article before, and we'll post it again, Brother Bill and his surplus, that surplus everybody talked about? Well, now that you know that taxes don't fund spending, and now that you know that surplus wasn't a stack of money waiting to get the economy back on its feet, now that you know that money that was taken out, that was the surplus, was actually deleted from the system, purged, now what do you think about Brother Bill's wonderful surplus? That is where the recession started, folks. He went ahead and cut welfare with his Personal Responsibility Act. And once he passed that welfare reform and made single moms all over the country just absolutely destitute, once he did that, he took all that money out of the economy. So this attack that Clinton's saying, unfortunately, not nearly enough people are listening to this. Because I look all around, and these bozo vote blues are out there running around talking about taxes funding spending at the federal level. They will repeat that lie over and over again. They will celebrate Obama reducing the deficit, which we know is private sector savings. In other words, the government is spending on the 99%. Clinton and her goons are bragging about destroying the economy and then having the audacity to blame the Republicans for it. Republicans are a lot of things. They're harsh, they're evil, they're wicked, they're this, they're that, the other. They like to cut spending wherever they can, makes them an idiot too. But Hillary lied so blatantly. And when you go to the PolitiFacts and you go to all the fact checkers, they don't say anything about that. Why is that? Because they're dumb as a box of rocks too, when it comes to dealing with a sovereign currency. Everything they thought they knew about economics ended in 1971, folks. They're still tripping in an old school gold bug era. So as you listen to the next debates, pay special attention to economics. Start really paying attention to what your government is lying to you and telling you. And now that you know, and now that you've had links to read, and you've had the opportunity to learn how federal financing actually works, you know that the Bush tax cuts didn't hurt anything. You know that the wars that he fought were horrible, but they weren't put on a government credit card. That's right, it was sovereign spending, folks. So anytime you hear these things, the only thing that destroys the economy, the only thing, is raising taxes and cutting spending. The combination is lethal. Both are taking money out of the economy. And both are hurting the you and me's of the world. Because think about this, folks. There are a million different economies in the world. If you go to a poor section of Detroit, they deal in a totally different currency. They're not dealing with cash. They're dealing with sex. They're dealing with drugs. They're dealing with whatever they can do to make a buck and eat. The 99%, we're all living in this dollar-driven world where we're exchanging cash for services and goods and whatnot. But when you get up to the next level, they're dealing in things like Mona Lisas and priceless art and favors and gilded castles, and they're not dealing in the same economy that we are. Cash to them is nothing because their families have survived many different forms of currency over the years. They've survived empires, and yet they retain money. They retain wealth, right? So just remember, every economy is not the same. But the next time you listen to a presidential debate, the next time you listen to a politician, period, talking about this stuff, remember, we progressives are losing a huge opportunity to gain progress by debunking the myth that taxes at the federal level fund spending. If we could shatter the myth and shatter the paradigm, then these neoliberals wouldn't have a leg to stand on. But people still clutch for dear life those bad ideas that we've already proven are wrong. They love them. They love faulty logic. It's like they're opiate. So anyway, if you haven't had a chance to watch it, it was pretty gut-wrenching. But see if you can find some stuff on Clinton and the economy from last night's debate. And see if you don't get a good chuckle out of it now that you understand economics. This is Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives, hoping you have a great night.